Yes, now they can see you and hear you.
Hi, everybody. I hope every one of you had much to give thanks for and had a warm and wonderful Thanksgiving. We sure did. And it does remind me at this time of year to be present with all that I have to be grateful for. One of the things is doing these live streams. I'm grateful for you guys showing up and telling friends and appreciating what I'm sharing. I'm grateful to the Minnesota State Arts Board for the grant to do these live streams. I'm thankful for my son Bodie, the movie maker, who asked me to work with him and named his Mother Son Productions and helps me with all this technical stuff that is not my skill set. My skill set is hands-on. So I'm going to draw in front of you on this painting today. I like to mix media, so it will be colored pencil on top of watercolor. But before we do that, I wanted to share this gift box I made with one of my flower stencils. And this outfit, it's got, I think, all 18 of my flower stencils that are on my Patreon SVGs that you can download and do whatever you want with them. Members get them for no extra fee. And or you can buy however many you like. So let's show the quick little video we did this morning of showing a number of different ways these stencils can be used, from gift box, cards. Well, let's watch it, and I will narrate as we're seeing different ways I've used it here at the Emerald Lady. So there's wardrobe, which I'm wearing an example of using the flower stencils on that. And now here in the gallery, we have fine art that I've used the flower stencils to create there on the easels. And I've used golden acrylic paints and Prismacolor pencils. It is a very often used combination of the either watercolor and colored pencil or acrylic and colored pencil, as I did on those fine art. There's note cards of the 18 different flower designs around the entrance there. And now we're walking up the stairs and we're seeing the back of the Emerald Lady's holiday tree that has the gold cards that can be used as home decor, as I've done there, and or gift cards. So now we're going into my bedroom, and we're going to show a silk scarf. There's some furniture I did with my stencils, and here's the 18 flowers on a silk scarf that I use as a bed cover, and it could be used on a duvet. I have it on the silk scarf over a crocheted bedspread, but they could be used on any number of things. And now we're going to go over to the Forever Spring room, the guest room, and show you. I try to wear something that's an example of the jewelry and the clothes that I make for every live stream. There's one outfit. And so when I went into the stencil closet, I found all these outfits with flower designs, the SVGs of the flower designs. So we have irises and chrysanthemums and roses and orchids and all kinds of different flowers. I think there's over 20 outfits just laid out on the floor there, not ironed and made perfect, but just to show you. And there's pillows and home decor, all different, vases, furniture, wall hangings, as many different things as you can imagine. You can use the stencils for, from t-shirts and sweatshirts to fancy, elegant outfits and everything in between. Here's my sewing room that was a closet and turned into a sewing room because it's got a window so that it feels very bright and lovely in there. And there's the flower stencil art. And now we're going up to the third floor, which is where I like to have creativity retreat guests stay, to have a very peaceful and private place for them to work on their creativity. I love to help people strengthen their connection to their imagination and their courage to express it creatively. So there's another hanging from that window, and now hanging from these curtains, another way to use the flower stencils that I cut out, and I used a gold wash so they look kind of antique-y, and they're used as this holiday gift-giving season ornamentation. Just brighten up. This is a good time for the reds that my taste, my color palette is usually pastels, but at this time of year with all the snow outside, stick season, it's great to have these intense happy making reds. So here's the third floor bedroom up there. There's a kitchen, bathroom, dining room, living room, and here's gold flowers on these teal pillows. So like I said, there's no end to the ways that we can use our imaginations, and so I like to keep challenging myself to find new ways to use whatever I have in my life or whatever I need. So there we go, and that's the last little ornament I hung this morning for this demonstration. Those are stencils of fish that I did that are wall, which I've done some friezes and wall stuff, so can't show everything at once. So that's enough for today's little intro into all the different ways we can use stencils and the 18 flower stencils I have on Patreon for no extra fee for members. Now I'm going to work on Cloud Child, that I realized when I stepped back from it that what this painting needs is, we've got tiny and large, and we have a few kind of mediums, but to create the feeling of depth and distance, I'm going to put in more sizes. So obviously the smallest ones can look like they're the furthest away. So I'm going to do that in front of the camera, and any questions or comments are welcome.
Yeah, you mentioned last time during your live stream about, despite growing up so poor, people had always thought that you came from wealth. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. Well, it took me a long time to figure out why, even when I was literally homeless, lived in an abandoned building, had 5 articles of clothing, a bamboo flute, a journal, the dried foods I carried with me. Um, no one in the family had any funds, so there was no one to lean on or borrow from, and so I just decided to try to live without needing any more money than I could possibly figure out creative, resourceful ways to trade my work, my time. I can sew, I can clean, I can do many things. I've painted houses, I've worked on the boats, blah, blah, blah. I try to be very handy so I could trade for what I needed. But I had so little, it always surprised me that people thought I was wealthy. And I finally, I think, figured it out. Why? It's because I have a wealth of imagination and an abundance, rich amount of creative expressions in my life, because whatever I have to work with is what I create with. No matter how little I had, I could find a way to enter into the creative joy. So that's what I discovered thinking about this question that people have asked before, or made the assumption that I came from wealth. And I was always confused about it till I ruminated on that. I'm going to sharpen my pencil, excuse me. That now I'm going to get shorter because I'm taking off. I like to be comfortable, especially while doing art. Relax. All right, so we're going to put some middle sizes in here. I do the sweep first, then the vein in the center of the feather, and then the shape of the feather, and then the color. So thank you, whoever asked that question. I want to say a little bit more about what is wealth. This question and reflecting on how many people have assumed I came from wealth. I not only realized that a wealth of imagination is true riches, because then we can use what we have to make our lives a little more what we want it to be every day, and feel like we're moving in the direction that gives us joy, happiness, health, peace, with whatever we have. And it also got me to think about that some of the least generous people I've known in my life, a trust funder who I dated when I was taking care of my mother. I was the sole supporter of my beautiful, kind, sickly mother and my 2 nephews who, unfortunately, my older sister fell into drug addiction and couldn't take care of even herself, let alone her sons. So I had all 3 homeless family members and myself to take care of. And I have always been an artist, so I've always done my art because it's what keeps me able to return to positivity no matter how tough things have gotten. And that was really a tough time. And I was working, let's see, what was I doing? Framing for a living, working in a restaurant, cleaning houses, whatever I needed that was honest and decent and didn't drain me from doing my art. So this trust funder that I dated for a while, coming from wealth, he, when we would go out, often we'd get to-go food. Never took me to a nice restaurant, and I didn't want to pay that much for food. I had to be very, very frugal. So we'd go out, and I'd offer money to split the food and gas, and he'd always take it. And I did break up with him, not because he was not generous, but because he never told me he loved me. And I think it's kind of connected to the same sort of lack of generosity. So I think the greatest wealth in the world is a rich heart, a heart full of love and hope. And often people, I've known a number, born into wealth or made a great deal of money, they're afraid that to lose it. They often don't share it. They're sometimes not generous. I've also known some very generous wealthy people, so it's not absolute. But they're afraid that it's what gives them worth, and so they're afraid to use their money. I like to show the colored pencil is just such a, now that's rich. That's rich, all those colors. And I try to take good care of my pencils because if you drop them, they will break inside. And so it's best to be careful with them. Okay, where do I want this pink? I think I want it here. So yeah, the fear of money giving people a sense of worth. No, what gives us worth is our actions, our choices in life, what we do with what we've gotten, not what we've got, especially if we were born into it. And if what we do is hoard it and not share it or do things that help other people with it, well, that's poverty. A sort of poor.
All right, and you got a question from YouTube. How many of those pencils do you have, and what's your favorite color? Hello.
Wow, well, let me show you again how many I have. And here's all the too short. When they get this short, I put them in here because they're harder to work with. But I use them. I use pencil extenders for the short ones, so nothing gets wasted. No matter how short they get, I can use them. And so how many? I've never counted them, but you got to see. How many do you think are there? I could do a raffle and have a prize for people, for the person who guesses how many pencils are there. How about that?
That's a good one.
All right. We could do that. Was there another question I missed?
Yeah, you got another one about your book. Hello there. Yeah, basically, let me see, let me find it. How do you do visual art and literary art? Wow. How do you do so different tasks? Excuse me, such different tasks.
That's a great question, and I really appreciate you asking it because I've been asked that a lot. And I think my answer is I don't compete with anyone else. I don't try to be like anyone else. I don't try to make my art or my writing or my dance or my music or my home decor like anybody else's. I just love to create, and I love to be in the joy of creating. And so I give myself permission to make jewelry, clothes, dishes, furniture, whatever it is that I want to have in my life. I give myself permission to make it, and I don't say what a lot of people say, because we live in a very competitive world. Oh, it won't be as good as so-and-so or such and such. And I'm not trying to be better than anyone else at anything. I'm just trying to be the best me I can be. And so I get to do it my own way, and I get to just keep learning and having fun doing it. And that's good enough for me. And, I've had people, everyone has, of course, had people that are critical. I had somebody up on Facebook. It actually made me laugh. They told me my previous painting, it was in process, but that's still no reason to say that it was really, really bad art. I didn't answer the person. Why would you spend your time finding someone who wasn't even a Facebook friend to criticize? How empty and hollow. Why put your time into that? And I thought it was pretty ironic because the painting had 73 different words for love in it. My first painting in this series illustrating my life stories, it's called Primordial Potential. And it love in, pretty ironic, in 73 different languages, with a fetus in the center of a golden womb in the early universe. And it's a visual metaphor for the early stage of my life. And we're all connected. We're all, we're all basically made out of the same stuff and connected to everything in the universe and have everything in the universe in us. So it's everybody's story, really. And I thought, how ironic that this person would decide to say it was really, really bad art. And sorry, girl, but you should do something else with your life. And, I can snap back, but why? Why bother giving any energy to something that, well, boring, quite frankly. If you don't like my art, that's okay. I'm not trying to please anyone but myself. I, of course, hope my work moves other people. Who doesn't? Everybody does. But that's not why I do it, or what I need from doing it. So because I'm not trying to be like anyone else, compete with anyone else, just be me and have fun exploring my own imagination and my own creativity, I can flow in any creative direction I choose. I do have an area, And so can you. You can flow in any creative direction you choose. Do protect your tender, vulnerable, creative spirit, and don't let mean people thwart you. So my expression is nice or next. Just move away from the computers and snuggle up with the collaborators. Get close and let the collaborators, shore you up. Don't let anyone tear you down. So don't compete with anyone but yourself of yesterday, and don't let anyone tear you down. Those are my policies that allow me to create in any area I choose. I am shy about singing because my father and my older sister used to cringe when I would sing, as if it was horrible to listen to, and it got to me. So I understand that being knocked down, the influence that can have. And as a creativity coach, it's very important to accept that we all can get wounded by the unkind things people say or do. But it's our responsibility to heal it. So I'm for the first time in my life, I'm self-taught in all my art forms, but I'm going to hire a woman musician that is as a singing coach to help me heal that area, get more relaxed about singing, and bring it this area that I have had trepidation, shyness, lack of confidence in, bring it out. And I think it's very poignant for me to acknowledge and work on an area that I've been stifled. Everybody's been stifled somewhere. And so, we all can get a deeper, stronger connection to our imaginations by playing with our imagination. That's what creativity is. It's playful, it's light, it's in my opinion, should be fun and restorative and peaceful. But we all have wounds because people can be cruel and competitive, and fear tries to control and love tries to support. So share your creativity with loving people and protect it from fear-based people. And I'll keep you posted how the singing lessons, the first art lessons, because everything else, all my other creative forms, I'm self-taught. I didn't need to, I try to learn from everyone I meet, and I try to observe, but I haven't had any classes in writing or drawing or dancing or any of that. But now I'm hiring some help to help me relax and just let my singing voice out. So we all need help, and that's that. In some ways, the best help is accepting ourselves and appreciating that we have the courage to try. And if we learn from what we're doing, it's a success. Even if we don't like it when it's done. Or I have another policy. If I start something, I finish it. And I've had plenty of pieces of art or writing or different creative expressions that there was a time during it I was critical of it, I didn't like it, but I step away until I can come back neutral, and then I keep going until I finish it. If I start it, I finish it, because I don't want to waste anything. And some of those pieces that I was most critical of can become the most favored. Mama Bird, I've told that story many times. I said to her, "You look like a pincushion, not a bird," when I was doing it. I was mad at it, but I had this finish everything. It's one of my most popular pieces of art. I like it too now. Didn't like it when I was doing it. All right. How's that?
It's looking really good.
Okay, now I'm going to add a second color wherever I feel like it. I try not to overthink it. I try to just be instinctive, not precious, and one of the things this cloud child is a metaphor is the abundance around us, and color represents that of, there's so much variety in nature and in the universe, and color is a natural mood elevator. And so I try to appreciate every color. Oh, somebody asked earlier what my favorite color was. And honestly, it's whatever color I have in my hand. Like right now, it's going to be red. And we're going to put it a little, this is magenta actually. So it's magenta right now. And then now it's going to be this aquamarine. And it keeps changing, my favorite color. Now we're going to go for some, what is this one called? Vermilion red, which looks very orange. And now we're going to have some, I need a different green. Any other questions, comments?
What are the designs on your outfit?
They are all kinds of different flowers, roses and bellflowers and lady slippers and orchids and chrysanthemums. I think it's got all 18 flowers that I have put stencils up, and it goes all the way around. And here's an iris. I wanted to say something else about wealth. Besides having a wealth of imagination and an abundance of rich creative expressions, I also believe that as difficult, challenging, dysfunctional as my upbringing was, not going to school after 7 regularly and no one even noticing until truancy officers showed up when I was 14, and then they didn't know what to do with me, so they sent me to a psychiatrist, the Board of Education, who told me not to change. And so, lots of strange and difficult, but everybody has their own difficulties to deal with in life. But I literally wasn't wearing shoes when they sent me to the psychiatrist, the Board of Ed. And he asked me, why aren't you wearing shoes? And it's like I was really poor. Let's be straight up about that. But I was born into a kind of wealth that I believe is the greatest wealth one can be born into. And that was a mother that was always my champion and always a champion of me being me. And that's a kind of a richness. And I've known plenty of privileged people that maybe their mother or father never told them they were good enough just as they are. And my mother always listened to me like what I said was important. And I know people that appear to have it all in the family they were born into, with wealth and power and prestige and all that normal stuff, but they're not confident in their own worthiness. And I think that is the greatest of all sorts of wealth, is to know that we are worthy and we get to just be us, and we get to share what no one else can share, which is our authenticity with the world. And no one else can be that. And we are the only ones that can share that. Our perspective, our vision, our knowledge, our wisdom. No one else has that. And so we have something to give the world that only we can. So, and that is, well, beautiful. And it gives us a sense of purpose and worthiness. So you can see as I keep collecting pencils, I like to move pretty fast when I work. I like to move efficiently, not necessarily fast, but efficiently. And so I just hold the pencils so that they're closer to where I'm going to use them.
And you got a question on Facebook. Is this all pencil, or are there other types of mediums?
The background is all watercolor. The cloud thus far is acrylic. The feathers are Prismacolor pencil. And the cloud child isn't done, but she also has some graphic, can't think of the name of the pencil, graphite, that's it, graphite pencil. So that's 4 different mediums so far, and there's a possibility that there will be some ink or something else. I don't, as my classically trained artist mother who graduated with a fine art degree said, if you learn the rules, you just have to forget them, dear. You have your own way. And the only rules I have about which mediums where is I don't want to waste anything. I don't want to hurt myself or anyone else. So I don't really like to use oil paints, though I'm not totally averse to it. But the smell and I don't think that they're necessarily healthy, and you have to really ventilate well if you use them. So, but I prefer watercolor because you can rehydrate it. And here's how I have my Watercolor, you can rehydrate it, unlike that you can't do that with acrylic. You just want to take and make sure the cap is screwed back on so it doesn't dry out and get wasted. I don't like to waste. I don't like to hurt anybody, including the environment. So those are my only rules, and everything else I give myself permission to do it any way I want to. And I believe that's part of the joy of creativity, is we don't have to do it anyone else's way. And it's interesting, this grant to illustrate my life stories has gotten me to start drawing people, which, I love people, but they're not what's inspired me most of my life. It's nature and the cosmos. So, but in this series, I'm going to I started with the fetus. Now we have a cloud child. Next, we're going to have a toddler in Quonset quasar is going to be the next piece. And I'm going to be working on that in front of the live stream Wednesday. Wednesdays and Sundays at noon. And a Quonset hut was my first home outside my mother. And in the desert, the monsoon rain on the Quonset must have been so loud. That's part of, I think, formed me into this feeling of connected with the universe. It was must have been like inside of a drum when the monsoon rains were pounding on the roof. And I think it had a profound influence on me. So Quonset quasar is going to be the next painting. And I'm going to be working on it for sure next Wednesday, because this is getting close to enough. And I think it's a good time actually to let it be. And maybe talk a little bit about how I choose what's going to be in the painting, the visual metaphors of my life. And I'm not reading my own stories. I'm just doing it instinctively. And I am starting at the beginning, the fetus, and then the cloud child, and then the toddler. And I'm going to be maturing throughout the painting process. And other than that, that's the only thing that will be linear about it. And the visual metaphors tell a story. This story is about my mysterious, delightful connection to birds, which I have a huge amount of birds in my 600 paintings and drawings in my portfolio. It just comes very naturally. I feel them. The perspective from up above, the floating, the ease, the expansive sky, all of that is very much a visual metaphor for my early life, which has been very revealing, that this beautiful imagery, when by all descriptions of it, never having a Christmas, any holiday, no birthday parties, no dinner parties, didn't even go to school, blah, blah, blah. But still, I see beautiful things. Those are the memories that I have, because it's what I focused on, apparently. Oops.
I dropped my phone. It's fine.
Okay. So what we focus on, we increase. So I focused on nature and the beauty around me and my safe and kind mother, and I pretty much kept away from, I didn't have a friend growing up. I didn't really have a conversation till I was 14 other than with my mother. But I don't feel sorry for myself. I don't even feel like I was deprived, because I found beauty and abundance in nature, in the cosmos, in my own heart. And so, yeah, I guess I did come from wealth, even though I grew up in a poor family. So how about that for a wrap up?
Fantastic.
Any other questions or comments before signing off? I would assume it's about time.
It is. Yeah, and there's a question on YouTube about what's the process of making your stencils?
Well, I refine, like this is Iris, the subject matter to its most elegant, simple, and then you have to leave, for stencils, you have to leave space between them. So I do the drawing, so the stencil can be cut. I used to cut them by hand with a razor blade or a knife, out of acetate. I have some that I've had for decades that I cut that way, but we got a stencil cutter now. So now I take the drawing, put it on the drawing pad on the computer, make sure everything has some separation so the stencil will work as a stencil. That is the property of a stencil, is it needs to have space in between each shape. And then the Cricut cutter cuts it into a stencil, and that's Bodhi makes it into an SVG that anybody can purchase or get for free on my Patreon. So I do have videos out there already from other grants live streams I've done on the stencil cutting process, from the simplest, literally cutting paper with the scissors, stencils, leaf shapes, the simplest to the more complicated. So they're out there, and there you go. There's one. But there's a lot of videos out there on the Creativity Show that show different parts of the process. So thanks for that question, and thanks for being here.
You're all caught up.
Great. All right. And so good time to say see you Wednesday at noon. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it if you tell a friend that would appreciate getting hopefully some encouragement and ideas to enjoy their own creativity. Any emotion we express stimulates our immune system, and creative expression is a way to express them all without hurting anybody, and it's a respectful way to express any and every emotion, heal ourselves and help the world and make beautiful stuff, hopefully to give as gifts or enhance our own lives. And so there you go. Thank you, Bodhi, for all your help, and thank you for being here. And please tell a friend.